Theory, I'm telling you everything. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Today's topic is custom enterprise applications and Dev 2.0. Custom enterprise application. Custom means uh, made of, based on the requirements. For instance, if you go and buy clothes, ready to wear clothes uh, from any shop, then those are not custom made. They are some general, um, general clothes that are made for anyone. Whoever likes it, and whoever feel that that is suitable for them, they buy it. But then you buy a material, a fabric, and then go to tailor and then give your requirements and specify what kind of dress you would like to get it stitched, and length and width and all that design. Then that would become your custom made dress. Likewise, in the last class we discussed about uh, some enterprise applications that are ready to use. They are known as off the shelf product. Okay, you just buy them and then you use them. However, if they don't fit your requirements, you have to go for custom application, custom enterprise application. What were the applications that learned? We learned about ERP, we learned about CRM, and we learned about SCM, enterprise resource planning, customer relationship management, supply chain management. There are some softwares available in the market like Microsoft Dynamics and SAP. You can use those for having everything automated. You are doing making the system, your application, your company's application. It what it does is it asks it will have a user interface. It asks the operator to specify the details, and then operator specify it records. Instead of having everything on paper, you can use this enterprise resource planning and CRM and SCM. Essentially, in this chapter we will look at custom enterprise application. uh, these are pre-built enterprise applications. Custom enterprise applications involve companies to call for specific requirements. All right, and Dev 2 also we will look at. So in our previous chapter, we learned about CRM, SCM, core ERP systems, which are implemented as enterprise systems using packaged products or SaaS. On cloud also you can use this. Horizontal business process or domain specific functionality. Horizontal business process or domain specific functionality means a particular domain uh, which is not supported by the this available uh, pre-built enterprise applications. Domain specific, for instance, there is a diagnostic lab. There is no component of diagnostic lab, say for instance, okay, suppose in the ERP product which has been purchased by the hospital. So then they have to go for this custom made application. and attached to their that ERP. We shall explore how such enterprise applications are built, whether as part of a packaged product or custom built application. Okay, as a packaged product you can build, or custom build application you can have for the enterprises. And this dev to paradigm enables application development to be done largely without custom programming. Dev 2 is very popular these days, and we will look at it as we go along. Software architecture for enterprise components is the next subtopic in this. What would be the architecture for enterprise components? Enterprise applications are viewed as application components, and each component is a collection of enterprise sub-processes that all access a cohesive set of data items, such as partner or order. This is the architecture layers. This is client, and this is server side, and this is following model view controller. If you have heard about MVC architecture, model, controller, and view. The data store. This is like Oracle relational database, or even NoSQL database. Here you will have database. Then you have data access layer. In Java, you have JDBC, which is used to connect to data store. That one. Then business logic layer. For instance, you are developing servlets or JSPs for business logic, and control layer. For this also you can develop another JSP or servlet, or you can combine both together. And presentation layer server. Uh, Here, this presentation layer client and presentation layer server, there should be communication, and this two things together form the view of MVC architecture. This control layer is the controller, and data stored data access layer, business logic layer forms the model. These are the services. These are all server side. This is client side. These are the architecture layer. When you develop your project in your next semester, uh, generally you follow this architecture to create some project. Um, for instance, an employee management system or student management system. For that, all these layers are required. All right, uh, and this is known as a layered architecture. Because these are layered, uh, there is the code has been segregated into these many layers. There is not one just single program. If you have just one single program, it is known as monolithic program, and there are no layers. Another example of this layered architecture would be this OSI model. In that also you will find these layers. That is also known as a layered architecture. And then, okay, they have here explained how it can be implemented. A typical application server architecture would be Apache Tomcat or J2EE platform. The client is a browser, and it connects via HTTP or to an application server. Application server could be deployed on cloud platforms such as Amazon EC2, on any server on the internet, or server within an internal enterprise network. All right, we can leverage cloud. to have a server on the cloud. The presentation layer comprises of client-side JavaScript code that runs in the browser as well as server-side JSPs. The business logic layer is Java code that executes in the appropriate application. It can be a servlet or EJB. Business logic layer accesses the data store, uh, typically a relational database via data access layer. Controller layer is responsible for regulating access from the presentation to the business logic and data layers. And implementing this access control, application layer security, all that describes the uh, figure. Okay, besides having a layered architecture or MVC architecture, there is a another kind of service which are known as web services or mashups. Okay, that was architecture of a application which is to be custom developed for the organization. And in that, there would be user interface patterns and basic transactions. You can have layered MVC, that is model view controller, and this Ajax paradigm. All right, in this, what happens is, you see, this is user interface. This user interface here depicts an order entry form. Suppose there is a order, customer name has to be entered, order date has to be entered, order value, how many items, order ID, then order item ID, product name, quantity, price. This order entry form, when you fill it up and submit, then order will be placed. This is nothing but your user interface. All right. And then uh, validations need to be done through JavaScript. Why validations need to be done through JavaScript? Because uh, while entering while entering this form, if the operator enters uh, order value wrong, negative, if he enter a negative order value, there cannot be a negative order value. There should be a positive only value only. So this kind of validations would be carried out by JavaScript in the at the client side only. Later, the request is sent through HTTP, POST request, or AJAX request. Okay. In this AJAX paradigm, user interface can also be cached in the browser between different asynchronous requests from the same HTML page. This AJAX is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It stands for that. So, in this kind of uh, interaction through AJAX protocol, user interface state can be cached. Means whatever user has entered in that form, it would be cached in the browser. Uh, Apparently, it can be later sent to the server from that cache, not by asking the user to enter again. Some details can be cached. Thus, the server side presentation layer is once again becoming partially redundant. So when the user navigates to the new HTML page, the JavaScript memory space is lost. So maintaining server-side presentation state can still be useful even in Ajax paradigm. Once you travel from one page to another page, sometimes you will lose the memory space. If you are running a program, it would occupy some memory. And when you close that program and open another program, that memory will be deallocated and it will be allocated to a new program. In that scenario, also Ajax, whatever Ajax stores in the form of a cache in the browser, will be retained, will not be lost. That way, Ajax paradigm is quite useful, and it is being used by several applications earlier. Now, some new patterns have also come up, and so controller data entry that spans multiple pages. How does the user navigate from page to page in the client server environment? With the Ajax paradigm, such navigation is implemented by client application or JavaScript user interface. However, in traditional web architecture, each such page would be retrieved in response to HTTP post request, with the decision of which page to return being taken on the server. This problem, what is this problem? Having multiple pages and user entering the data on multiple pages and then retrieving the data from the multiple pages. Okay, that navigation and that retrieval would be a problem. Therefore, uh, this led to the development of some sophisticated controller frameworks such as struts and springs. You might have heard about struts and spring. These are new frameworks. These would define the controller, uh, and navigation rules are also defined concerning which page follows another, could be coded in the controller layer using such frameworks. So controller layer also decide which model functions, either business logic or data access to call, and in what order. This controller, you have a controller in middle. Here you have data model, either here controller and here view. This controller is the one which decides when to take data from view, when to store data to model, when to take data from model, when to supply or provide the data to the view. These all are the decisions taken by the controller. And the new controllers implemented are those struct and springs. Okay, this will talk about web architecture uh, from the perspective of traditional MVC paradigm. How a web application can be developed. A controller layer is described above performs many functions required by the MVC. For example, it isolates the presentation layer from the remaining layer because presentation layer is the view layer. This view layer need not worry about what is there, in the background, at the back end, because this controller would deal with the back end, and controller would not let this view uh, to handle these interactions directly. So that is the task of controller. And then the controller is supposed to immediately reflect the change in the view. Whenever there is a change in the update made at the database layer, then that change should be reflected in the this presentation layer. If the record changes while the user is viewing it, the user's view of the record is not immediately updated since no HTTP request has been made. The problem here is when the user is viewing the data, simultaneously it is being modified by some other user. That modification would not be reflected in this. Essentially because there is no request made by this user, the first user who is reading the data, to the uh, data data access or data store. Therefore, it will not reflect. Uh, that is, so new data would not be received, and uh, in Ajax paradigm, the client can make periodic asynchronous calls to the server so that a true MVC model is easier to implement. Asynchronous, what do you mean by synchronous model and asynchronous model? In asynchronous model, even if client and server are not active at the same time, they can send and receive requests, responses, or messages. For instance, a mail system, email system is asynchronous. Now I am sending the mail to you. You need not be active or alive at that time. It will be stored somewhere, and then later, whenever you log in, you get that. So inherently, this asynchronous nature is quite useful because of this nature of not having both the parties live at the same time. That is asynchronous. Synchronous means both should be like a telephone call. Now this is our live class happening. It is synchronous. At the same time, I'll say I am the server and say suppose you are the clients. Server clients and servers are active at the same time, and they are you know having communication one after the other. So that is synchronous. Okay, so then due to all these um problems of traditional architecture, MVC layering with Ajax, because Ajax support asynchronous communication. MVC layering with Ajax have been developed. This is a new architecture wherein you have server side, client side. Client side would have presentation layer and client side controller layer. You look at controller now has been split up into client side and server side. Earlier, controller was located at server side, and essentially that would lead to problems, several problems. So then it has been now moved to client side controller layer, server side controller layer, and these are as it is, like our previous architecture. Okay, so here common UI patterns, user interface patterns. Uh, how browser communicates with the server. Browser sends the request through HTTP or AJAX. Server receives it and provides the response. Okay, this is the description of that order entry form. Please read it once. Formal models and frameworks. There are some models and frameworks. Those those things we would study. Mm, order entry transaction. You remember order entry transaction that might enable us to formally model its behavior. Uh, we are defining some we are first coming up with some terminology. A form is a set of fields corresponding to the columns in the application database. A form, this is a form. Here if you have username and password, what is this username and password? These two are attributes in the database, and these are two are the fields in the web page. There should be a mapping, and these fields correspond to the columns. They can correspond to columns of multiple tables as well. And here we assume that all the fields in the form corresponds to the single table. Customer name, order date, order ID comprise the order form. Okay, this is an HTML form that you have created, and each corresponds to a column of the order table. There is a at backend you have order table say in Oracle, order form in HTML. And at the same time, there is a customer form that might have customer name, customer address corresponding to customer table. There would be a customer table and there would be a customer form. Likewise, order ID, quantity, or order item. are the fields in order item form. Order item also there is one form, and fields with the same name in different forms such as customer name in the order and customer form, or order ID in order or order item forms have special significance because they would be having some kind of relationship. So you will have customer name maybe in both the tables, into in more than one table. The pages of a form. A search page retrieves set of records matching any values entered into fields, F fields, and returns them as a result set R. A result page displays the result set R from a search operation. These are all HTML pages. You try to open one website. mm, you try to open Flipkart website and try to search for a product. It will give the result. You try to you try to register, and later you try to edit your address. That is edit page. Create is to create a new record. When you register, you would become a registered user and your details would be entered in the database. So these are different pages, okay, that would create. This is a search order form. So what are the fields, how you are mapping these fields to the attributes of the table, whether these fields occur in single table or multiple tables, all these things you need to perform analysis on or analyze in order to come up with a efficient user interface which is easy to use by the user. This is all about having this what fields should be there, and how they are linked up. Order has fields: order date, customer name, order ID. Creating the order. Creating the order includes create order item. Creating the order includes result. After result after it is placed, order is placed, a result will come. So like that, you will have you can search for your order, you can create new order. All these things involve different fields, different attributes of the tables. So it means this is all about you are learning how to build a custom enterprise application. Okay, so with this we will look at in the next class. Do you have any doubts in today's class? Okay then, bye.